Now, were we supposed to mask stuff or what?
Yes.
That's what you told me.
As I said in the email, I like to do things at home first before I do them here in class, because things can go south sometimes, like the guy with the 3 martini lunch, and it does get hard to recover. So I like to practice. And then sometimes when I do different meetings, I might, like I have one that I did of a bus stop down in Austin, Texas. And I did each one of the people that were, I had about 7 or 8 people in the painting. And I did 2 or 3 paintings of each person 2 or 3 times to get an idea of how I wanted to do it.
On scrap?
But in the beginning, it's painful.
Then I kept some of those. And I found that kind of interesting. I went to down to Greenville Museum one time, and it was James Scott, or somebody Scott, it's a watercolor. They have Mary White and Wyatt, and this other one who's very good. But he had a lot of his sketches. He did preliminary. And I did that when I did the West Point paintings. I did a lot of preliminary sketches. So sometimes I'll do a pencil sketch, sometimes I'll do a water. But in this one, what I wanted to try and do is, on the moving waters, I wanted to get the feeling that water that's in front of the rocks, you get the feeling that it's moving and it's not just sitting there. And that's going to be kind of subtle in here because we don't have anything going off the side of a cliff like we did in the previous one that we did. So there's some little small foam areas around 2 or 3 spots in there. There's some reflections. But the other thing that I wanted to try and get out of this is being able to get some of the transparency of seeing through the water and some of those things that are down below. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put a glaze on here, or a wash over the water area. And I'll do that, and then after we do that, then we're going to come in and get some of these rocks that are in here, and we're going to do a little painting on each of those rocks. We're not going to worry too much about detail. We want to be able to kind of give some feeling of shape and also some feeling of which way the light is coming from, because even though it's underwater, there are still shadows from those rocks if you look at it closely. And that begins to give us a little real look. Now, when I do that, after I've done that, I've painted those rocks, generally what I'd like to do is to let it sit overnight. The reason I want to let it sit overnight is to let all of it really harden. When I take my hair dryer and dry it, the surface is going to get dry. But if I start coming back in to put another glaze and I get much water on my brush when I'm doing that glaze, then it will begin to soften all of that paint that I put on, because the bottom part of the paper isn't as dry as the top part of the paper.
I found it out.
And so something that you'd hope would stay. So that's why I sometimes, on some of these things, I'll just let it sit overnight. Then that lets it get the way I want. And if I wanted to, I could put a glaze on there with gel medium, acrylic gel medium, and that turns it, that freezes it. You're not going to do anything to it. But then we start getting into a lot of other stuff, and that's not in this class. But what I'm going to do here on this one, and I did each one of these, as I said, this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the last one.
Where's the first one?
This one up here.
That's upside down,
This is the first one I did.
okay, where are we supposed
Whoops.
to mask?
And that's
Where are we supposed to mask?
the mask. If you have a thing, I'll pick one of these, I'll take a red pencil and mark the rocks that should be masked. And in here, there's a quick way we can mask some of this. But on this water, I went through and I put a yellow glaze on with quinacridone gold. Then I came in and I painted these little small rocks that I drew in here. And they were okay, and then I started putting other glazes on top of it. after I dried it. And it still didn't look just right. And I kind of like these little lines that I put in here. What I did in here is I took a small round brush and just made kind of a squiggly line while there was some clear water on there. And it kind of gave a soft stroke coming down. And I feel like that kind of gives some kind of flow. When you look at this, you can see that these rocks, no matter what I do, no matter when I begin to paint it, they're going to get kind of soft and fuzzy, which is what I want, because we're not going to get a real crisp, hard edge underneath the water. But I tried that, and I thought, well, the rocks kind of got lost. So then I went to this one down here, and I got too much paint on it, I think. And I made my water so dark, I thought, I'm not happy with that Hummer at all. Lesson learned. And so I just, I like the way I did the rocks a little bit better, but then I blew it. And so then I did this one yesterday, and it came out a little bit better. But the thing that you're going to find when you do this, when we go through and we're working on it and we haven't painted the rocks yet, it's going to look like Sick City in many cases when you go in and you start just putting a little color on the rocks, all of a sudden everything begins to change. And the thing that I don't want you to get lost and get to feeling sad about everything going south is this is not supposed to look like real sharp detail in here. You want to be able to get the feeling and the sensation that there's some rocks there, but you don't want to be able to feel like I can reach down and grab each one of them. I just want to know that I'm looking through some water. And we'll try something like this a little bit later. I'd like to come back to some of this event up in here to make it. And we've got some places in here where we're going to have some foam and we're going to do some scraping again. And then down in here, when we look at this, there are a few little twigs, small branches coming up. So I brought in somebody, I think some of these little ruling pins. I'm going to use those, and what I'm going to do here, I've got mine, and I bought these up at Henco. And
What are they called?
this is called a ruling pin. 9 times out of 10, well, it's probably all gone now because most people here aren't my age, but it used to be that women would say, oh yeah, I've talked to my husband, he has one that he used in high school when he took mechanical drawing. He still has all the tools, and they go back and they find it, so they just save themselves $8. But anyway, these things are really great in a lot of different ways, because what you can do with them, one, when you get a line, the line, it's constant width, which if you're going to do something like you have a window painting, you've got all those little things that come down the vertical lines and the horizontal lines, you can put those on with this, and I can also use this is my bridge that I made from an old yardstick, and then I get on here and I can take that along like that, and I get a nice even line, straight line. And with this, so it's the same width, and I try, when I use a brush, I just, no matter what I do, I unconsciously put a slight change of pressure.
So you keep it in.
Yeah, well, on this, if I'm using paint in here, what I do is I just go through and hit it from the side like this, and I get a little bit in there. Let's put some paint in there, and I'll show you. And then if I wanted to draw a line,
You know, hearing you say that, I'm just wondering if you could load up a fountain pen with watercolor.
you might be able to.
Well,
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, should be able to if you have regular ink.
Oh,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. The kind on a little spring that goes up like that, and it sucks it up and you drop it down.
I'm getting kind of a rough, this is rough paper on here, so you're getting a lot of little skips in there. But you can get, so I can do that with the masking fluid. So what I'm gonna do here is where those little twigs are coming up in here, I'm going to, down for my second act.